Hey, Stephen Yunt here doing the roadside crawl at Matt's Automotive in Charlemont, Massachusetts with a 1980 Camaro Z28. Now, of course, 1980, was not a big deal for horsepower. These all came with a standard LM1 190 horsepower 350 small block with a Rochester Quadriette 4-barrel. Not much to shout about, but again, the days of, the big LT1 350 cars from the early 70s, the Z28s, the 302 cars of the 1960s, over and out. By this point in time, it was basically a station wagon engine or a pickup truck engine with a slightly hotter cam and a little richer carburetor tuning, but that was about it. But again, 190 horsepower was all you got. But with that said, this is also the first year for the first functional cold air system on a Camaro, going back to 67 all the way through 1979. No cold air hoods on these things ever. 1980, that was solved with something called the air induction hood. Now, this has been primered, but here it's an air induction. And what this is, basically, on the gas pedal, there's an electric solenoid, which would trigger an electric solenoid inside of the hood, which here would flap these things open, right, like that. They open and close like so. There you go. And it wide open, all these popped open and allowed some degree of cooler air, I guess, to reach the carburetor. Don't know, but the idea was certainly there. And got to remember, too, that the Z28's biggest competitor was the Firebird Trans Am. And they had a shaker hood, which didn't do anything after 1975 was blocked shut. Didn't do a damn thing. These did do something. So that's a point in Z28's here. Of course, the Trans Am outsold these things, had a 400 cubic inch or a 403 cubic inch engine. These had small block 350s at all points in time. But something cool on these, of course, at this point, these are the standard Z28 styled steel wheels. So it's also an aluminum alloy wheel, which is an option, but again, a stainless steel trim ring. And that there looks like magnesium. That's a steel stamped wheel. That's a heavy wheel. It's actually heavier than even a standard unadorned steel wheel. That's a 15x8 right there. Kind of a cool wheel and tire. But this and the Firebird Trans Am were America's best handling cars in 1980, 81. And 80 and 81 were the only 2 years for the cold air induction. Or it's actually air induction is what the graphic was. Let's take a look. And by the way, before we open the hood, crash barriers and protection was a big thing. The 5-mile-an-hour bumpers were in full effect, but there's no hydraulics in this one here. There's no rams, but rather the beam itself is massive. Got to be 40 pounds of dead weight. And this thing here, the bumper bracket, has crush zones built in. So if this didn't crush, that would. And the final round of defense was this thing here, which 1, 2, 3, one of those things would eventually yield in an impact, over 50 or 60 miles an hour, would deform everything. Before that, the nose on these things was a deformable polyurethane, a styled nose, attractive or ugly, you choose. But that was at the front, not seen here, obviously, because it's been removed. But anyway, underneath the air induction hood is that small block. I'm not sure if that's not the original engine, obviously, because this has an aftermarket intake chrome valve, goes then hopped up a billet flywheel, or a pulley, I should say, right there. And the exhaust manifolds in this are stock. They're a log style manifold, not a bad piece. They're different from the ram's horn stuff used until about 1966, I think it was, 65. And again, but here's the underside of the hood. And right here on the air cleaner on these things would be a duct and a rubber seal that would seal up to this area here, so that when you hit wide open on the gas pedal, you would get this effect and they'd open up. And it's kind of cool, really. It functions. And, actually when the Gen 3 Camaro came along, Z28, this downsized car in 1982, they also had a functional hood scoop on those things on the Crossfire cars, 305s. It worked. It was kind of cool. So, the spirit lived on. And again, Camaro Z28 was kind of the handling car. Big fat sway bars front and rear is right there. It's almost an inch diameter. That's a monster. Pretty heavy stuff. You can put that on a smaller engine Camaro and get an improvement in handling. The coil springs on these things also dialed in. Power steering, fast ratio on these things, Saginaw box. Kind of cool. GM was doing their best. And of course, GM had a lot of experience in SCCA Trans Am road racing. And that experience trickled right onto the Z28. It was a very capable handling car. Big fat tires, standard fare, and, great looking car. And again, there were a total of, let's take a peek here around the side here. I got my, there were 45,137 Z28s built in 1980, and almost the same number in 1981, the second and final year for the cold air hood. So there you have it. This wing is restorable, maybe. I mean, there's basically a lot of aftermarket companies that make parts, reproduction parts that are like, floor pans, fenders, quarter panels. It's all available. Just takes money. A car like this, you could probably spend about, maybe 60,000 to get it back to beautiful. It might be worth 40. So that's how it works in these worlds. But these are coming on pretty strong. Z28s are cool. The VIN has an actual code for the Z28, the engine package. And, nice car. Sad to see it sort of languishing here in Charlemont, Massachusetts. It may be for sale, I'm not sure. If you want to learn more, you can email Matt's Auto68 at Verizon.net, and they have some information. You can talk to Matt and maybe find out if this thing's for sale or not. Don't know. I stay out of the middle of that stuff. But anyway, that's the story of this. And if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Mags YouTube channel. And we'll be back for more fun in the junkyard and, of course, on the side of the road. So thanks for watching.